Harrison. Another round of applause. What a way to jumpstart this 2019 breakfast. Thank you very much for your attendance on this beautiful morning. I am going to yield to the Honorable Carol Allen White to preside.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I just want to do God's will. Give God a hand clap of praise. Yes. We're grateful this morning to be here. We do give honor to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and to each one in the building, all ministers, elected officials, and to each one of you, from the youngest to the oldest. We thank God for you being here this morning. Getting out of that warm, warm bed on a cold morning. Give yourself a hand. I am Carol Allen White, and I'm here today to preside, and I thank God for each one of you, hoping that you're helping yourself to the breakfast, and thank God for the head table. Let's give them a hand. And with Deacon Lester Anderson, singing this morning from Canita. All right, yeah. And the musician, let's give them a hand. Yeah, new man. Good morning. That's good to me. That's good to me. It's always know that it's a wonderful feeling to know that there's someone that you can pass the baton to. Yeah. And I'm sure if Martin Luther King was with us today, he would encourage us to stay in the race and continue to focus on serving others, helping others, because it's always haven't been this way. But as Deacon Lester Anderson was singing this morning, I believe a change is going to come. Hallelujah! All right, all righty. This time we're going to continue on, and we thank Dr. Glenda Lawrence Knight, who's the chair of this beautiful organization, Edgecombe County Human Relations Commission. Let's give her a hand. And our vice chair of the Edgecombe County Human Relations Commission, Honorable Viola Harris, vice chair. Let's give her a hand. And all the Human Relations Commissioners. Let's give them a hand for what they're doing in our community. Serving breakfast, helping us to go forth in God's name. So I know that there are a lot of things to cover today, but I just want to say thank you and humble to serve as your clerk of Superior Court of the state of North Carolina, county of Edgecombe, beginning my 7th term. To God be the glory. As we continue on, we're going to ask for a musical selection, but even before going forward, I want to recognize my husband, who's a great support to me. Now let us get started and enjoy. Let us not just be spectators, let us be participators. Let us not just tolerate, let us celebrate while we're here. God bless you. Deacon Lester Anderson. Thank you. Okay. If everyone would stand for lift every voice and sing. It's located in your program.
Yes, lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the darkness has taught us. Sing a song True to our God, true to our native land. Yeah.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you. Lift every voice and sing. Yes. Thanks be to God for his grace and mercy. Lift every voice and sing. As we continue on this morning, we're thankful to see the Honorable Mayor from Tarboro, Big City, the county seat, Edgecombe, Tarboro, Mr. Joe Pickett, and our county manager, Mr. Eric Evans. We thank the both and the county and the staff for how they provide service to us. Thank you. Great service.
Amen.
This time we have welcomed by Ms. Shanika Kent, staff liaison for North Carolina Cooperative Extension Agent. Thank you.
I didn't have to go far. Well, good morning. Thank you. I want to say welcome to the 2019 Martin Luther King Jr. Unity Breakfast, which is hosted by the Edgecombe County Human Relations Commission. And I hope you all enjoy your breakfast, enjoy the program, and let's remember to keep Dr. King's legacy well alive and intact every day. Not just today, not just January 15th on his actual birthday, but every single day. And again, welcome.
Thank you so much, Ms. Shanika Kent, staff liaison. At this time, we're going to continue on with the prayer. I think we blessed our food. But nevertheless, we're going to ask for prayer from the Honorable Reverend Wayne Hines. And as you see your name printed, we'd like for you to just come up and enjoy. Amen? Amen.
Amen.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for being our God. We thank you for the presence of your love and your grace and your mercy. Most of all, we thank you because of your love that has made this opportunity a blessing to us. As we share together, may we be reminded from whence we have come, but be aware of where we should be going. Bless our minds to remember that somebody died, somebody gave of themselves, somebody suffered, somebody put forth every effort possible that we might have this opportunity. Help us to be clear in our minds and be sure in our hearts that we're going in the right direction. Bless the word that has been prepared for us that we might receive your message this morning, that we might leave here with a new hope and inspiration to be about your business. Forgive us for our faults and our failures, our shortcomings. Try us again that we might live a life that's pleasing unto you. We thank thee for the food that has been given to us and we have already partaken, that we might be nourished, that our service to you might not be in vain. With all of this, unto thee we give thanks. Amen.
Amen.
I remember, this is from Dr. Martin Luther King. I'm old enough to remember when he died. And at the time, I can remember where I was. I was at the North Carolina military induction station in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I was getting ready to be sworn in. And they came and told us that, first thing they said, he'd been shot. And they came back and told us that he had died. That was April 4th, 1968. And I was at the induction station. After that, shortly after that, I found myself in Vietnam. But the whole while I was there, I didn't know anything about God and church. I just did. I didn't go to church. You're riding on the radio, church song came on, I turned the channel. I want to hear it. And but somewhere down the line, I heard a message that changed my whole mind. And today I'm a different guy than I was back then. I'm a different guy. I'm not a perfect guy, but I'm different. So the only time I look back is to see where the Lord has brought me from. Because He's been good to me. He's been good. Oh! If you know His name was there. Thank you, Lord. I'm 70 years old, you know. I don't look like I'm 70. here today. We give him all the glory. Now, I'm going to say this to you. If you know him, and you can sing this song, I want you to sing. I want you to say with me, I want you to sing the only time you look back. This is too big for too far. I want you to come up and get it for the one time. Get it real hard.
introduce the speaker on this morning, I want to share with everyone at the last Edgecombe County board meeting, the board privileged us to the appointment of the Honorable Pearl Allen White to the Edgecombe County Human Relations Commission. And we put her to work, by which she's accustomed to. So thank you. I have the privilege on this morning to introduce the keynote speaker, Mrs. Vedas Neal. Vedas Neal is a native of Camden University and a 1970 graduate of Fayetteville State University. She transitioned to Wilson County, North Carolina in 2003 after retiring from a 32-year career in the Camden City Public Schools. She matriculated at Rutgers University and earned a master's degree in education, and did further study in curriculum and instruction at the International Graduate School in St. Louis, Missouri, and biblical counseling training at Living Word Counseling Center in Woodbury, New Jersey. Veda's professional career is impressively extensive, as her passion for civic and organizational involvement is very, very great and is demonstrated by her bio. A few of those things include her retirement in Wilson in 2003. Vedas served as a teacher at the Spate Middle School for 5 years while she continued her passion of service. She has served as the president of the Wilson County Alumni Chapter of Fayetteville State University, president of the FSU Alumni Association, and now serves as the chairman of the FSU Board of Trustees. She served 2 years as president of Gamma Beta Omega, chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority in Wilson, North Carolina. She is a member of Calvary Presbyterian Church in Wilson, North Carolina, and has served in numerous capacities. Currently, Vedas is the interim executive director of the St. John Community Development Corporation Incorporation and Save a Youth Program in Wilson. She is married to James Neal of Nashville, North Carolina, and they are blessed with a blended family of 4 sons, a daughter, daughter-in-law, son-in-law, and 6 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. After the selection, you will hear no other than my longtime cerebral mentor, Mrs. Vedas Neal.
Amen. We know we were put it out. So we're going to do another one anyway. We're going to do something slow. And we're going to let the lady come up and speak to us today. Amen. Amen. So, by the way, I just want to let you know that the song that you heard us sing is available on CD from Left Parameters in the Real Way, in case you want to know. We're going to sing a little bit of this. We're going to sing a little bit of this right here because it's one of my favorites. And I hope we don't sing along because we don't want to bore y'all. But we want you to worship us a little bit too. Just a little bit. A friend we have in Jesus. Oh yeah. All our sins and grief to bear. Oh yeah. Anybody believe that?
God be the glory. This great getting up morning, because we all had to get up this morning. We all had to get up in the cold this morning. And thank God for my husband for this great getting up morning, because it was a getting up morning getting him here. I thank you for coming with me this morning. And I greet each and every one of you in a spirit of gratefulness and honor to have me as a part of this celebration, to continue to lift the legacy of the greatest man that I've ever seen. Walk on this earth in my lifetime. Lord, it's a great getting up. Thank you, Glenda, for that kind introduction. And thank you for asking me to be your guest this morning. Ever since we started Martin Luther King days, I haven't missed a one. When I came to North Carolina, I didn't know anybody anywhere. I hadn't met anybody. I came in January of 2003. In January 18th to 21st, it was time for Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King's Day. And I'm going to stop right there because I have some children in here, and I don't want you to ever say it's Martin Luther King. That's right. It is Dr. Martin Luther King, or it is the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Let's give him all of the respect that he deserves. I went to my first human relations breakfast. At that time, it was in Wilson, and I read in the paper it was free. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know where to get any tickets, but you had to have a ticket to get in there. I went anyway. He told me I couldn't get in without a ticket. I said, that's all right. I'm going to stay right here and listen from the outside. But sometime woman went inside and came back out and gave me a ticket. And I went in and I've been going ever since. I've been someplace. And I want to thank the young people who are in here today. Stand up, young people. Stand up if you're under 18 years old. Stand up if you're under 18 years old. In your beds to sleep, when this man, through sweat, blood, and tears, has taken us a long way and brought us where we are today. So let me get off of that because I have a time limit, and Linda, I'm going to stick within that time limit. This day warrants this moment of reflection, and I am really, really glad to be able to be here to expound on some of the prophetic messages that Dr. King has left us with. When I came to North Carolina, my first time in North Carolina was at Fayetteville State University in 1966. Everybody was talking about Dr. Martin Luther King. Well, I came from the North. It wasn't that prevalent up there to be talking about it as daily conversation as it was in the South. So they talked about him like he was a relative of theirs. Well, those 2 years I learned more about him, and I felt very close to him, and I felt very endearing with him for only that 2 years, because in 1968, I had to join the world in mourning for the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King when he was assassinated. It was a tearful day on the campus of Fayetteville State University. And now today, I have the privilege and honor to expound on his prophetic topic. All life is interrelated. Yes, all life is interrelated. That brings me to my question for you today. What are the challenges we face today in society when we speak of interrelational perspectives in life? And what are our responsibilities? It is amazing that within the diaspora, from birth to burial, we are all interrelated. Have you ever thought that everything you do, everything you own, everywhere you go, everything is interrelated, interconnected, interdependent? The structure of all reality is interrelated. Now I want to take a minute. I need your help for a minute. I need all the young ones and I need some of the other ones. I just want you to stand on your feet for a minute, just if you're able, and just if you feel like it. Just stand up for a minute. I need your help. I need your help. Okay? Now I want you to hold up your hand and wiggle your fingers. Pick up your foot and put it back down. Don't keep it up too long. Put it back down. Now sit down. Whatever you have on your feet, wiggle your toes. Now turn your head to the right. Turn your head to the left. What did you notice? Did you notice that your toe bone stayed connected to your foot bone, and your foot bone stayed connected to your ankle bone, and your ankle bone stayed connected to your leg bone, and your leg bone stayed connected to your thigh bone, right on up to your head bone, right on down to your neck bone, and all those bones stayed connected, right? Amen. That's because they are interrelated. They are interdependent. That's right. And they are interconnected. Have you ever tried to bake a cake? You can't even bake a cake unless you deal with interrelational ingredients. The butter and the sugar are essential, aren't they? Yeah. So you mix them on up. Each one has its own unique qualities. Then you may actually want to add your eggs to it, some milk, and you know how we are. We start adding a little spice here and a little spice there, and you get ready to bake that cake and put it in the oven. But just before we get ready to start baking the cake, you change your mind about the eggs. You want them back. I want my eggs back. Then what? You can't get them back, right? When you bake that cake, each ingredient had a direct impact on the other ingredient. One couldn't do without the other. All the ingredients in the cake were interrelated. Now let's do life. Dr. Martin Luther King said, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? What are the interrelational ingredients for life? Faith, hope, charity. Does that sound like the great man we're honoring today? Now, when I was young in the Girl Scouts, and some of you may remember this, or some of you may know it, but I don't hear it being taught to the children today. So don't mind my voice. I'm going to do the best I can. There was a song about faith, hope, and charity. And if those of you, if anybody in here, if you know the song, come on and sing it with me. Have faith, hope, and charity. That's the way to live successfully. How do I know? The Bible tells me so. Do good to your enemies, and the blessed Lord you're surely pleased. How do I know? The Bible tells me so. Don't worry about tomorrow, just be real good today. The Lord is right beside you, He'll guide you all the way. So have faith, hope, and charity. That's the way to live successfully. How do I know? The Bible tells me so. So now we have faith, hope, and charity. We had our butter and our sugar. Without love and forgiveness, that's right, you don't have your butter and your sugar. That's right. Dr. Martin Luther King said, we must develop, wait a minute, did I put the wrong ingredient in there? Yes. We need to add to faith, hope, and charity, love and forgiveness. There it is, love and forgiveness. Dr. Martin Luther King said, we must develop and maintain the capacity to forgive. He who is devoid of the power to forgive is devoid of the power to love. There is some good in the worst of us. There is some evil in the best of us. When we discover this, then we'll be less prone to hate our enemies. So we're going to stir these interrelational ingredients: faith, hope, charity, love, and forgiveness. We're going to stir those up. Now, Dr. King mixed these ingredients when he went to Memphis, Tennessee to help the sanitation workers. He met his demise while mixing his interrelational ingredients. He stepped out on faith. He never gave up hope. He served with love. He advocated for the poor. And he strived for peace and forgiveness. Recently, a young girl on a job, I'm not going to mention one job, she had 3 children and 3 different fathers, was hired in a position that she really didn't feel confident about. And even the employer who hired her didn't feel confident about her. But someone stepped out on faith and hired her anyway. Within 3 weeks, there was talk of her contemplating suicide. She was in the right place at the right time among brethren with a character like Dr. King, who took that mixture, interrelatedness, interconnectedness, and interdependence, and metamorphosized her situation. Since then, that girl has gone back to school, earned a certification, works with confidence, and walks with a renewed spirit. Now, how are you inspiring hope in our people? Or do you stand by and witness others pushing our people to a place that appears to be a place of no return because we have deprioritized our interrelatedness, our interconnectedness, and our interdependence? So as we face the challenges in society today, as we strive for peace, the biggest challenge of all, we, like Dr. King has said, we have to realize that no individual can live alone, and no nation can live alone. And the more we try, there will be no peace. We must learn to live together. You heard this from Dr. King. We must learn to live together as brothers, or we'll all perish together as foes. As nations and individuals, we are all interrelated, interdependent, and interconnected. At the core of all life, whether we're talking about in the kitchen baking the cake, whether we're talking about moving our bones within our bodies, whether we're talking about being in our cars, whether we're talking about being among individuals or among nations, there is an interrelatedness. Dr. King says, in a real sense, all life is interrelated. All men are caught up in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. This is the interrelated structure of reality. Did you ever stop to think that you cannot leave your home in the morning without depending on most of the world? When you get up in the morning and go to the bathroom and reach for the sponge, it is handed to you by a Pacific Islander. You reach for the bar of soap, and that's given to you by a Frenchman. You pour a cup of coffee, and it's poured from South Africa. And you pour a cup of tea, and it's poured from the Chinese. You pour a cup of cocoa, and it's from West Africa. Or you get a piece of toast, And it's from an English-speaking farmer. This is the way of our universe. We need each other. We are all interrelated. I, Vedas, cannot be all I ought to be unless you become all you ought to be. And you cannot be all you ought to be unless I become all I ought to be. Now, when Dr. King referenced this interrelatedness, he was not just speaking from a personal perspective, but also from a global perspective. We, the United States of America, can never be what we ought to be unless other nations around the world become what they ought to be, and they cannot become what they ought to be until we become what we ought to be. We are all interrelated, interconnected, and interdependent.
That's right.
Therefore, at the end of this day, this celebration should reveal our interrelatedness, our interconnectedness, and our interdependence, which lies within us to serve, to help others, to inspire hope, to love, to forgive. And I charge you, my brothers and sisters out there, young people and all, I charge you today with the responsibility of mixing these ingredients and going out in the world to make this universal structure of interrelatedness a reality. Thank you. We thank Ms. Neal for bringing such a great, magnificent word to us, an empowering word to us, helping us to see how we all are related. And as our theme is, all life is interrelated. So again, we thank you for such a powerful word. She made it so simple, so real, that even a fifth grader can get it. So we pray that you all get it. I'm receiving it still. Thank you again. Let's give her another hand. As we continue on to celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, we have some brief remarks, and on your program we see the Honorable Shelley Willingham. There he is. Great. So, and he'll be followed by the Honorable Joe Pitt, Mayor of the town of Tarboro, and Reverend Eric Evans, the manager of Edgecombe County. Well, let us welcome and celebrate the Honorable Shelley Willingham, North Carolina House of Representatives. Come forward.
Good morning. Good morning. Sorry, I came in late. I was trying to be in too many places at one time. Listening to the speaker and thinking back over the last 2 or 3 days, it brought to mind to me something I just wanted to share with you. We talk about interrelated relationships. And I was thinking back through my life, and I was thinking about what Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King celebration is all about. And it's really about renewing history. And I found over the years, every year, it becomes more relevant. Because I'm participating in history, and you're participating in history. You're part of it. Each time you participate in these types of programs. But I had a couple of unique things that happened to me in my life. I had the opportunity to meet Dr. Martin Luther King when he came to Rocky Mountain. 1862 at Booker T. Washington High School. You know, that's where he renewed his I Have a Dream speech. I was a student in school. I met him. Little did I know what this will mean to me in later life. And little did I know what would happen with Dr. King. None of us know what's going to happen in the future, but I had no idea the kinds of things that I would experience and how this relationship would progress. Of course, we know that Dr. King was assassinated. At the time that he was assassinated, I was serving as a police officer in Washington, D.C. We read about certain disturbance, the riots, and all those things. When I heard about the slaying of Dr. King, it was almost as if I had lost a relative, and I lost a family. But at the same time, that relationship, and I went back to that time and I thought about that, and I said, here it is again. It's affected me because what I had to do as a police officer, I worked like 48 hours nonstop because that was what was happening in Washington at that time and around the country. So we never know, you know, what's going to happen in the future. And again, you know, I was part of history. I was part of that history. And it's the kind of thing that I talk to my son and my daughter about when they were growing up. And I pray that you will do the same thing with young people now. And I'll just mention this one incident and I'll sit down. I was in the school system in Rockingham and was teaching a class, and I just said to some of the students, Dr. Martin Luther King, who is he? Who is he? One kid raised his hand and said, is he a basketball player? Another one says he's a rapper. And it just kind of dawned on me that, you know, this is something so important, somebody so important to our existence. When I say I'm not just talking about black people across the world, to people in this world, that our people, our young people, don't know that. And I challenge you, you know, to talk to your children and young people around you, young people that you come in contact with, and make sure that they understand the importance of Dr. Martin Luther King and what his contribution and what your relationship and what their relationship is with them. Because we are connected to Dr. King. If you feel like you're not connected, you need to go back and study history, because we are. And I'm just so happy to be able to participate in events like this, and to share the fact that I knew Dr. King. And as I said, each year it becomes more important to me and more precious. Because a lot of folks my age, we're moving on. So somebody's going to have to pick up the mantle and teach our young folks and make them understand that it's important, you know, where we came from, whose shoulders we're standing on, and what we have to do. So I commend the Edgecombe County Human Relations Committee and all of you who participated in this program, because this is something that we have to continue to do. We have to continue the legacy of Dr. King. And we do that by honoring him and also teaching our young people what we must do. This is our life. This is your life. So let's live it. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much, Ms. Neal, for the wonderful talk with Vedas. Everything that I'm going to try to say to you also. Martin Luther King, a man we need to keep in our memory forever. He brought honor, to our history, and we all must strive to impersonate him in our own lives. So many of us were fortunate to live through what Martin Luther King did. In my lifetime, there were many heroes, John Kennedy and Barack Obama, my two favorites. Martin Luther King, however, gave so much to the lives of the average citizen. Blacks, to be sure, but whites also. Remember, he was the voice of rebellion, but rebellion in a non-violent way. I'm a product of the South. I graduated from the local high school, graduated from the University of North Carolina, and returned home to work in a family business. I know the history of race relations in Tarboro, and I have lived through some good and bad times, as all of you have. At my age, I can honestly say that we have made great progress. But in honoring Martin Luther King, excuse me, Dr. Martin Luther King. I knew I was going to make it. But in honoring Dr. Martin Luther King, we must say he wanted us further along. I want us further along. Though we've made great strides, we need to do much more. I feel race relations are still in need of advancement. Advancement in social equity, advancement in political equity. We can do so much more. Let us use this day of memorial for Dr. Martin Luther King to overcome the remaining traces of racism. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Eric Evans, and it is my honor and pleasure to serve as the county manager here in Edgecombe County. I'm grateful for our 7 county commissioners who continue to give their confidence in me to serve in this capacity. I'm also grateful and honored to be able to say now I'm a resident of Edgecombe County. I've been here a few years, so y'all a little bit late on that. But I love living here. I love living here in the town of Tarboro. And what a wonderful speech this morning, Mrs. Neal. We thank you for that. I'm so encouraged in thinking about the interrelatedness of those ingredients. I'm particularly encouraged to know, not to just guess and hope, but to know that right here in this county, we already have all of the right ingredients. We might not yet look like what we're going to be, but we're going to be what the Lord has planned for us. Certainly we can look around now and look back, brother, as you sang that song, and see where God has brought us from. And we've had as I grew up working on a farm, we've had a tough road to hoe, and I'm sure we've had difficult times. We certainly are at the former county manager that I had the honor to serve under, Mr. Lorenzo Carmen, God rest his soul. He used to say quite often, we are at the top and bottom of 2-minute bad lists, and I'm tired of it. But I believe that's not our future. That might be our past, and in some cases our present, but that's not our future. Edgecombe County is going to be a different county than what it is 5 years from now. And I believe that, we all could, sit around, all of us who maybe have some part to play in that, and pat each other on the back and congratulate each other for the hard work that we're doing. And that certainly is due, and sometimes to some degree. But we would be remiss if we did not thank those who came before us. We're not building this from scratch. We are building this on the shoulders of great men and women who did it when they had a much harder time to do it than we do. And certainly Dr. Martin Luther King was at the top of that list. So I'm grateful to be here this morning. So glad to see you all. Thank you, and God bless you.
Again, we thank each one of you, Honorable Shirley Willingham and Mayor Joe Pitt and Manager Eric Evans for those kind words. And then again, I'm just so grateful to be here, and it's an honor to preside this morning at our Unity Breakfast. So thank you so very much for allowing me to serve you in Edgecombe County. I love you, I love Edgecombe County, I love calling Edgecombe County home. I was born and reared in Edgecombe County, so you can't get rid of me now. You want me or don't want me, I'm going to be right there. And I claim every city in Edgecombe County my home. Somehow we're interrelated because of family that crossing from one city to the county to the state, all over the universe. And I'm just so, so grateful. And as we continue to just reflect and meditate on our subject, the theme, all life is interrelated, our prayer is, Lord, make us one. Amen. Thank you so very kindly as we continue on now, because we know we're getting ready for the march at 10 o'clock. But at this time, we're going to ask the Honorable Viola Harris, Edgecombe County Commissioner, Vice Chair of the Edgecombe County Human Relations Commission, acknowledgments and announcements. Now again, thank you, love you, Lord, make us one. Yes.
Good morning. Good morning. It has certainly been a wonderful morning. In our acknowledgments, I definitely want to acknowledge Mr. Anderson and these fine young men who got up this morning. And as we say, they have sung my soul happy. In our acknowledgments, we really want to make sure that we give our guest speaker, Mrs. Neal, another hand. We're so encouraged that you decided to come to North Carolina and celebrate with us here in the South as we celebrate the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Event each year. We also want to recognize this morning all of our elected officials, if you would please stand. We're excited to have local, state, elected officials who got up this morning. We have our school board members, we got mayors, commissioners, so you see how we're all interrelated. Right. Next, we want to make sure that we thank all of our pastors and ministers who came out this morning to help us celebrate. Would you please stand? If your pastor or your minister was not here today, make sure you tell them they missed a good time. We are grateful that our Human Relations Commission is here this morning. Let's thank them for getting this organized. And as one of those little black girls from the big town of Leggett, North Carolina, I'm so proud that we've been able to sit down with little white girls and little white boys and call them friends, and all of us celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. because he stood not just for the little black girls and black boys, but for the little white girls and white boys, so that we can all know that we're interrelated. We want to thank our partners, St. Mary's Chapter 12, for volunteering this morning. Ebonette Club of Tarboro, North Carolina Cooperative Extension. And if you look around and see all these beautiful decorations, we really want to thank Ola Pittman and her committee. We want to thank all of you parents, grandparents, who understand the importance of the celebration and of the man himself to bring your children and your grandchildren. This is how we get them started, because as they said, they are going to be standing in our place sooner than later. And we want them to understand why we celebrate and who we celebrate. We also want to recognize our Edgecombe County Entrepreneurs Organization. It takes all of these and more to get this thing done. We want to thank our volunteer photographers, the community Communication for doing our video. And we want to thank you, and you. Lottie, Dottie, and everybody. Got to make our announcement.
Miss Harris, he's covering the Rocky Mountain Telegram.
Oh, nice to meet you. 15 years ago, I used to be that person. I had to write the floor, I had to take a picture, had to go to all the events. Welcome aboard. For all of you who are not properly dressed, you have time to get your coats, your hats, and your gloves and scarves as we prepare to meet over at St. James Temple on McNair Road. Meet at 10 o'clock. We're going to start lining up and counting at 10:15. As you know, we have churches and other groups and schools who come and participate. We ask them to help us take care of some of the essentials, and by that, they line up and we march all the way to Edgecombe Community College. You said, I remember I said all the way. If you're not able to make it all the way, we understand. But we would like you especially to bring your young people to the march. And we will line up 10 o'clock. I want you to be there. 10:15, we will count. If you have somebody lollygag in after we do the count, I'm sorry, they will not be on your list to show that you had the most people come so that you can get that trophy this year. All right, so please make sure all your children have the essentials of a coat and a hat and gloves, because we don't want anybody to get sick, because even though they have Monday off, they got to go back to school on Tuesday. All right, so please join us for that. After the march, we will be at Edgecombe Community College. We are going to have some music, we're going to have a celebration, and then we're going to have lunch with the Kings. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So this time I'm going to ask for Kyle to give us the benediction as I call it reverend. So we just with the song, not with the song. Pastor Hines.
Maybe stand together.
May we hold hands? Awesome.
Fill your dreams with me tomorrow. Never mind what might have been. May the good Lord bless and keep you till we meet again.
Now unto him who is able to keep us from falling and present us faultless before his Father's throne with exceeding joy. May the sweet communion of his Holy Spirit rest, rule, and abide with us now and forever. May we all together say amen.
Amen. All right, hold the man. I'll see you guys.